Hello, friends, and welcome to Empowered Living Today. I'm Dr. Daniel Gilbert, founder and president of Empowered Living International, and today is a special day. It's the last day of Holy Week, but there's something eerie about it. Jesus has just died and has been buried. What's going on in the disciples' lives and those that have followed Jesus? I want to introduce to you my beautiful wife, Mary Beth, as she shares from her perspective what was happening. Let's welcome Mary Beth.
Hello, friends. Thank you for tuning in today. I would just like to share maybe some moments to ponder of what was happening in the people, in the community, the night that Jesus died on the cross, as well as the next day, today that we're talking about, 7th day of Holy Week. It says that after Jesus took his last breath, that there was darkness that came upon noonday until about 3 in the afternoon. Now that alone would have startled me, whether I was at the crucifixion scene or in the marketplace. I would have just been wondering, you normally don't see darkness at noonday for 3 hours. Second, there was an earthquake. The earthquake shaking everything, jolting everything, right when Jesus died, again, had to have been a sign to those there that something bigger was happening. In fact, the whole crowd, the scripture says, scattered. They ran away, beating their chests in regret. They must have sensed that this was no ordinary man that they had just crucified. And the women that were there, they stayed through the whole thing. And they actually even stayed after Jesus' body was given to Joseph, a righteous man, for prepping and burial. I can't even imagine what Mary felt, the mother of Jesus. How can you even go there to think of what she must have been going through? But at the same time, there was a very sweet moment that Jesus, before he died, he looked at one of his disciples, John, and he said, "Take care of my mother." That just warms my heart as a mom. And for any mothers out there, I know that touches you if you would hear your son say, "Take care of my mother." And this was right before Jesus was taking on the sin of the world. It was a tender moment for Mary, I'm sure. But nevertheless, I can't imagine the anguish and the pain and the wondering through all of his followers, what they were feeling, what were they thinking. How could this happen, they may have thought. There was fear. They must have been wondering, Jesus, he was our Messiah. God, how could you let this happen? This is not an ordinary day. And so we get to the next day. I wonder if they even slept that night, his followers. Could they even sleep that night? Such earth-shattering things had happened. Did Mary even leave her house the next day? It says that they were talking about it in the marketplace, the 2 men on the road to Emmaus. They're chatting. It's everywhere. But yet at the same time, there probably was a little bit of an eeriness in the air. It's kind of like, and this doesn't even compare to that day, but maybe a little bit we can understand. I was born and raised in Florida, and after hurricanes, that wind had been howling. My dad was boarding up all the windows, the storm, the rain, and then the next day, all's calm, all is quiet. And you look out, and there's devastation everywhere. And it just makes me, it's kind of like an eerie feeling when you see that destruction, and then all is calm. Maybe that's a little bit of what the atmosphere felt like that day to the disciples, to Mary, to his followers. Now, we know that the disciples did scatter. They ran, and they scattered because they were afraid if they were found out that they too may be arrested. But then they locked themselves. They came together and they locked themselves in a room. And they were fearful and they were wondering what is happening. So I'm reminded today as we think of these things and as we ponder what it may have been like being there that day, that we will be mindful to know that they didn't know what we know on this side of history, that the resurrection is coming, Sunday's coming. They didn't know that. They didn't have that information. That's why it could have been just a really strange day for them, and all kinds of emotions and feelings. So in closing, 2 empowering thoughts for today are: 1, have you ever felt that in your circumstances it just didn't make sense? Where was God? God, do you hear me? Do you see me? And 2, have you ever felt that maybe he was silent? Maybe he was silent. And I think sometimes we can find ourselves in these situations, but we have to remember the Resurrection Sunday is coming. And so whatever circumstance you're going through, just know Resurrection Sunday is coming. Thank you for being with us today.
And I want to thank you for being with us in Empowered Living today. You can't wait till tomorrow. It's Resurrection Sunday, so stay tuned for tomorrow. Thank you again for being with us. I'm Dr. Daniel Gilbert and my precious wife, Mary Beth. Thank you and God bless you.